Hey, Adhpa here. So, for those of you that pay attention, if anybody's paying attention, I'm not sure. But if you are paying attention, you may have noticed that this video is dropping on a different day from when I normally do it. And so I do this walk, and for me, this walk is very much about what the energy tells me to do, and I experiment with it. I don't expect it to go a certain way. I don't insist it goes a certain way. I don't insist anybody else do it. However, I'm doing these series of experiments with energy and then documenting it through this video series. And discussing it, and then pulling in tarot readings as a way to explore and look at the concepts. So, energy moved me to start this series by posting it on Tuesdays after recording on a Monday. I'm investigating, experimenting with a system of energy that I know as the 1111 energy, 1111 symbols. There's references down in the description box about where that material comes from and how to access it if you're interested. For myself, I'm just using those concepts as an experimental framework for trying certain things and seeing how they work and working with energy. And so there are energies, according to that system, of the days of the week. And Mondays is an intuition day. Tuesday is something called karmic council. Wednesday is karma dharma day. Thursday is a medicine day. Friday is a protection day. Saturday is a connections day. And then Sunday is a vibration resonance day, a frequency resonance day. That these energies dominate, and can, in my experiments, I'm trying to see if that is the fact, and can they then be used if you have conscious awareness of them. I personally am pretty happy with the results, but whatever. Anyway, so I was recording on a Monday on an intuition day on the concept of seeing what intuition would bring up for the reading. And then posting on a Tuesday, Karmic Council Day, which is a day where there is sort of a judgment going on. So like the whole system is standing in judgment. And I wanted to see how that affected me and the energy of karma to follow with me putting these messages out to the public, and see if there was an effect. Anyway, so that's been what I have been doing. And if you want to know what kind of results I feel like I've come up with, text me, comment me, whatever. Let's talk about that. But for the moment, this is all the experimental stuff for the videos. So you're seeing my experiment, as it were. So, but now we're shifting to recording on Tuesday and posting on Wednesday. So this is a little bit different, and I struggled a bit to come up with the topic for this week's video, but then something occurred yesterday, and suddenly this morning I had an idea that this is exactly what I want to look at. And interestingly enough, it has to do with reviewing someone's work on a topic and critiquing it and judging it. And judging it in terms of the information that it shared compared to the truth of energy, existence, and facility function that I've discovered. So this turned out to be really great, because someone sent me a video link yesterday and asked me to check it out and let them know what I thought about it. So it was a gentleman who's I tell you what, I'll post the link down in the description so you can check him out for yourself. At the moment, I don't recall his name, but essentially he's been studying the allegory of the Holy Grail. He's a historian, possibly an archaeologist or anthropologist, educated man, And he basically puts out this theory that when humanity is undermined by great events such as the eruption of Krakatoa, which created a mini ice age and sort of set human culture back instantly, well, you know, in cosmic terms, pretty instantly, that eventually all that lost knowledge has to come back out. And somehow it does come back out and gets reconstituted bit by bit, but under new stories and with new allegories often. And that is how the Arthurian legends evolved as a reconstitution of essentially early Judaism, Christianity, Celtic stuff, blending it all together into this Arthurian allegory, which still tells essentially the same story as those earlier texts. And that's very interesting, and I think that's true. I think things probably do, you know, the way energy never goes away. So a lot of the wisdom and knowledge and understanding about how to work with it will naturally reconstitute as long as humans have access to it and are living, because we're connected to that energy. So these ideas will reconstitute naturally. But then he got to something that really shows me how duality has stripped the Western culture of the ability to even understand what's going on. And that is because he says that that information had to be kept secret and passed on through these channels of men to save it. But of course, that defies the premise to begin with entirely. Because if the information reconstitutes, who can keep it secret? And you can't, because it reconstitutes in us as humans every day. We are the energy connection, and we can always access any wisdom for healing, understanding, geometry, architecture. It doesn't matter. It's all in the energy system. And so if we're consciously accessing it, we will get it. However, what the dualists did do with their hiding in secret societies and withholding information, and people tell you you have to go through all this process. I think he says you have to work for it. Okay, let me explain something. You are born connected to the energy. Just like you're born with a body, emotions, and a mind. There's no working for it. It is you. Now, if you've been divorced from that understanding, so you no longer know about your energy, you no longer consciously accept, talk about, validate, use, discuss, explore your energy faculties, and in fact, you're told from the time you come in that that's someone else's domain. You don't have access. You've got to go to God. Well, of course you're going to have to work for it to reconnect. But the fact is, if you've never disconnected, and if you raise your children so they never disconnect, then what they're working for is whatever they want to create with full agency, because they already have it. So that's what we're going to read on today. We're going to read on, the question is going to be, okay, let me put it this way. I had a little concept. So we've talked about the medicine wheel before, and I've talked about it with the tarot, and that each direction on the medicine wheel goes with a suit on the tarot and goes with a set of faculties of human faculties. And I have said the north is passion, heart, emotion, fire. The east is thinking, mental, air things, concepts, ideas, things that come from the mind. The south is the body, the physical, your abilities physically to do all the things you do. And the west is the energy, which connects to the inner energy, the spirit, the waters. And that's a little different than some people, but that's how I see it. Now we have another concept in the 1111 where we say that always before you is the grandfather, behind you the grandmothers. To your right, the divine masculine. To your left, the divine feminine. So I see it this way. You put yourself into a medicine wheel. Now in the Lakota language, the south is itokagata, the way we never face. And there's a reason for that in my interpretation. Because the grandmothers stand there pushing us forward to always drive our health. They are the ones that help us get to healing by pushing us along. Their wisdom and then documenting. So everything that happens to your body is written in it. They write it in it. And before you are the grandfathers, and they lead the way. They lead the passion. You have a passion of fire. They lead that to show you good ways to take it, good paths. And then to your right, you have the divine masculine, that thinking concept. He speaks to you about law and legal and justice, and that's where that energy comes in through the thought, or that's how thinking faculties are communicated with by that realm, right? So they can inform you. There's a very directed, protective, as I said, the divine masculine. And then he's to the right. To the left, you have the west, the divine feminine. And this is what speaks to you about the energy. This is where you would get your information about how to use that energy and your faculties and connecting to them. But notice that the dualistic thinkers have cut that arm off. And so they cut that arm off from birth. And they teach you and tell you all along not to listen. Don't listen to those divine energy information that's part of your faculties naturally. So that's what we're going to read on. We're going to read on how to, well, first of all, I think what we'll do is we'll just pull a reading on how true is my theory. And we'll just look at that. All right, hold on, and I'll bring you down. Hang tight. Alrighty, so today we're going to use the Sacred Medicine. Oops, got to figure out how I'm working here on this one, sorry. Sacred Medicine, Aisha Frost, and then the Colette Baron Reed Spirit Oracle we'll use to clarify. And we'll see how that works. As usual, I have already shuffled the cards quite a bit, but I will shuffle again a little bit now and think about what we're going to read on again. Asking this time in this reading about this theory that humanity, that dualism has caused humanity essentially to bind their left arm to energy understanding that is a natural right and naturally inherent in the human. And because of this, they struggle. They don't really need to struggle. And all of that hiding information is essentially a huge waste of time because it reconstitutes anyway. It just takes longer. So that hiding and withholding information is just dualism expressing itself and would not need to happen in the natural state. All right, so I'm going to ask, what do the cards have to say about this theory of mine? Fascinating. All right. Sacred tears. Situation, expression. It's about expression. And there we have that water. That's exactly what we're talking about with the energy. Even looks like arms coming in here, doesn't it? So that's very interesting. Yeah, we're talking about expression of the true being of humans and how is that being affected. All right, let's see what this clarified by. I thought I had pulled a tarot deck when I pulled these oracles, so that's what we're going to use. That's what they want. Look, that one threw right out. That's what they want to talk about this with the oracle cards. Very interesting. And what is it clarified by? Do I have my deck upside down? Nope. So, horse spirit, freedom is yours, upside down. I think that's exactly what we're talking about. How humans' expression is affected because that freedom spirit is upside down. All right, and the challenge? The challenge is sacred medicine, the calling. Yeah, we get called to this information, even though it's been restricted. We always get called back to it ourselves internally, everyone. Clarified by the parrot spirit, watch your words. See, we take in these words of dualism and other things that are actually divorcing us from our energy understanding, separating us, and the words that we learn and pick up. What do we have control over in this situation? Family, kin. We have the control within our families of this. It's up to us. Clarified by coyote spirit, trust in divine detours. You know, that coyote spirit is representative of the energy being that understands how energy works and then like uses it to trick himself, like to mess himself up in the family. And I think that's what that's saying, is we have control over that within the family, and this is what it does to the family if we hinder our energy faculties. In the past, what has happened recently, reclamation. There is a huge reconstitution of this energy that's been going on for centuries, or century and a half anyway, or a millennia and a half, so centuries, that now there's some reclaiming going on. People aren't accepting this dualistic stuff. They are reclaiming their natural energy faculties, or there's a move that has started. Stag spirit, take the lead. There are leaders showing this way. What's above that we can't control? Summer solstice, deer, nourishing. We can't control the rest of the earth and how it will nourish us and the food and medicine it will bring. We can't control how that nourishing affects, but we can do the nourishing. Clarified by the dolphin spirit, this and that are true. You know, I love that this is a combination of the earth and the water beings, like the medicine beings of that, with the dolphin and the deer. We cannot control the animals of the earth or the water. And there are truths that are not evident, that we might think cannot be true because something else is evident, but they can both be true and are. And that's what this is alluding to. And we can't control that. We need to understand it. What we are trying to manifest, the intention, me no be ma dijiwi. walk in a good way, realigning. You know, that's all we need to manifest is a good way. Doesn't have to be the perfect way, just a good way. Antelope spirit, life is speeding up. You know, people are trying to find a good way. They really are looking for a good way. They want to manifest a good way now. And they feel like they need it. Where we are in relation to this matter? Roots, reconnection. We are in, you know, we see ourselves as being connected, the beaver spirit, to lay a solid foundation. We see ourselves as reconnecting and creating a new foundation. How the environment in which we sit, cleanse, the sage stick. You know, I've said before, there's this earth cleansing going on, clarified by the whale spirit. Trust the great mystery. Again, this is going on the earth. That whale again connects us, water to land, sings the song, brings the resonances. There's a mystery to what the whale does. We cannot understand, but it has to do with cleansing, and that's the environment in which we sit. Hopes and fears on it, the seer and prophecy. Well, that, you know, people are always afraid of the person bringing the information, sadly. I don't know what to do about that, but they have both hope in the people who can see and are sharing, and fear of them. As clarified by the peacock spirit, let it shine. You know, because these people right now are being brought to the forefront. They're speaking truth regardless of what anybody thinks. And to some people, that's very abrasive. They see them as peacocks out there showing off. And maybe there are prophets that are just showing off, that are all ego. But somewhere in there, they hope there is the one who's not, who's actually got that beautiful fanned out, glorious display of information and truth that they can choose from. What will be? Thunderbird vision, the trailblazer. So based on this concept that we're talking about, it seems to me that it's saying that we have divorced this energy, but we can claim it back. And if we do, then we get vision and trailblazing and clarified by the lion spirit. Be generous of spirit. You know, that tells me, look, we can fly and king of the animal world. You know, we can have that kingship over our ability to fly if we'll do this. Very good reading. Bottom of the deck, the sweetgrass braid. Receptivity. Now is the time. Sweetgrass, when it's burned, calls in the happiness of the spirits. They enjoy the smell. It brings them into an idea of the dance. It makes them happy. You know, and so there is this openness right now between us and the spirit realm. Everything, there's a receptivity because of this sweetgrass. This is a sweet thing for spirit. As clarified by electric eel spirit, bring your ideas to life. Well, I would say that this read is very much on topic for what we called upon. So contemplate it. Leave me a comment. Leave a like. Hold on. I'll bring you up and we will wrap this up. Okay, another great read. I thought those cards really came out appropriately for what we asked. I think they seem to support the theory, worth working on. Again, this is going to drop on Karma Day, so I find that interesting. I think that in some ways there is something in these cards that is telling us that now's the time. Grab it, take it, be in agency, or it could get tough real fast. And I would not want that for any of you. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I would not want you to not have agency at this time. I hope that you will open your heart up to your own inner energy callings and try some things. Experiment with it. See how it can work to inform you to walk in good ways in these difficult times. I really appreciate any of you that do watch, that have subscribed. Please share and get this out to others if you think it has value. And I will see you next week. Oh, one thing before we go. I'm getting ready to start a little snark short channel. To be fair. So I try to, on these videos, really keep it very focused on the energy and the communication, but I do have plenty of snark. I can snark, and sometimes I feel moved to snark. So now I'm interested in seeing if, with kind of a consciousness of energy, can I come up with snark that enlightens? To be fair, it's a crapshoot. But check it out. It'll be up soon. I'll let you know. And meanwhile, I'll see you next week. Love ya.